Tonight we turn to a developing story in the heart of the Midwest, where a federal request is stirring significant controversy. The Trump administration has formally asked to use a key military installation near Chicago for upcoming immigration operations. Naval Station Great Lakes, a historic, vital Navy training center just outside Chicago. According to official communications, the Department of Homeland Security, or DHS, has requested limited support facilities infrastructure and other logistical needs. This move signals a major federal action is being planned for the Chicago area. The plan involves housing federal agents on the naval base for an extended period. Agents from several DHS branches, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, Customs and Border Protection, CBP. The timeline is nearly the entire month of September, beginning right after Labor Day, specifically September 2nd through September 30th. This is not the first time such a request has been made. Navy Captain Stephen Yargos, the base commanding officer, says operations are similar to Los Angeles earlier this summer, suggesting a pattern of using military facilities to support large-scale immigration enforcement. The response from Illinois officials has been swift and firm. Governor J.B. Pritzker has publicly vowed to oppose the Trump administration's plans, particularly the potential deployment of the National Guard to Chicago. The governor dismissed the president's pledge as a thinly veiled cover for an unconstitutional federal overreach. He has made it clear that the state will use its authority to challenge what he and other local leaders see as an unnecessary and provocative federal intervention. The governor's stance frames this not as a matter of law enforcement, but as a political maneuver that infringes on the state's sovereignty and the rights of its residents. In a series of strong statements, Governor Pritzker has questioned the very premise for such a massive federal operation in his state. He declared, "There is no emergency in Chicago that calls for armed military intervention." He described the administration's plans as unprecedented, illegal, unconstitutional, and un-American. This forceful language highlights the deep divide between the state's Democratic leadership and the Republican administration in Washington. Pritzker's opposition is not just about a single policy but about a fundamental disagreement over the role of the federal government in local affairs, especially when it comes to sensitive issues like immigration public safety. The governor's resistance is rooted in a belief that the federal government is creating a crisis where one does not exist. By characterizing the planned operation with such strong terms, he is attempting to rally public support and build a legal case against the administration's actions. A key part of the federal administration's narrative for intervening in cities like Chicago has often been crime. However, recent statistics from the city challenge that justification directly. In the first 7 months of 2025, murders in Chicago dropped by a significant 31%. This continues a downward trend in violence. Looking at the first half of the year, total violent crime in the city fell by more than 22% compared to the same period in 2024. This represents the steepest decline the city has seen in over a decade, a fact that local officials are emphasizing in their arguments against federal intervention. Furthermore, when placed in a national context, Chicago's crime rates are often misrepresented. While the city does face challenges with violence, its homicide rate of 21.7 per 100,000 residents in 2024 was actually lower than that of 7 other major United States cities. This data undermines the portrayal of Chicago as a uniquely dangerous city in need of federal policing. Illinois officials, including Governor Pritzker, are using these statistics to argue that the federal government's focus is misplaced, and that the emergency cited to justify intervention simply does not exist, according to the city's own public safety data. Adding another layer to this conflict is Chicago's official status as a sanctuary city. This is a long-standing policy where the city has formally refused to use its local resources, including its police force, to assist federal agents with deportation operations. This policy is designed to build trust between immigrant communities and local law enforcement, encouraging residents to report crimes without fear of being questioned about their immigration status. The request to house federal agents has also created unease within the military itself. Navy Captain Stephen Yargos, commanding officer at Naval Station Great Lakes, told his leadership team there were major concerns and questions. The plan would host DHS agents through September. Concern, logistical strain on the base. Concern, security implications of housing non-military law enforcement. Concern, the base could be drawn into a politically charged operation. The captain's core job is training sailors. This new mission introduces a host of complexities. He also noted possible involvement from other military units, potential to support National Guard units, if Guard units are deployed for peacekeeping during protests. He admitted details about that support were scarce. That lack of clarity adds pressure on base leadership. They're being asked to commit resources and facilities. The issue has drawn sharp criticism from members of Congress, especially representatives who cover the area. Representative Brad Schneider, whose district includes Great Lakes, has been an outspoken critic. He says using military installations for domestic immigration enforcement is a dangerous precedent. He argues it weakens constitutional protections and undermines the rule of law. In conclusion, the situation unfolding in Chicago is a microcosm of a larger national struggle. The key facts are clear. The Trump administration is planning a major immigration enforcement operation in Chicago. It has requested the use of Naval Station Great Lakes. That request is to house federal ICE agents, and to house CBP agents. The deployment window is September 2nd through September 30th. The plan includes the potential for National Guard deployment to manage protests. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker has vowed to fight that move. He calls it an unconstitutional overreach. This federal action is being taken despite data showing a significant drop in violent crime in Chicago. The opposition is multifaceted and coming from many directions. State officials are resisting on legal and constitutional grounds. Local officials are resisting as well, defending Chicago's sanctuary status. The commander of the naval base has expressed concerns about logistics and implications. In Washington, representatives like Brad Schneider are decrying the use of military facilities for domestic law enforcement. They argue it politicizes the armed forces, and that it undermines their core mission. The convergence of these opposing forces sets the stage for a significant confrontation. This matters for Chicago because it challenges the city's autonomy and it threatens to sow fear in immigrant communities. As federal agents prepare to arrive, the city braces for what comes next. The rest of the country will be watching closely,